right. So now we will get on to chapter 2. Name of the chapter? Anyone?
Sankhya Yoga.
Sankhya Yoga.
Sankhya Yoga.
English contents of the Gita
Summarized.
summarized.
Summarize.
Summarized.
So chapter 2 is like an index to the entire Bhagavad Gita. You will see the glimpse of all the different topics within Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2. That's what chapter 2 is. So far we have studied chapter 1, different arguments of Arjun for not fighting the war. Chapter 2 continued with the same theme of Arjun's further arguments on not fighting the war, and from verses 2.11, 2.11 onwards, Krishna starts speaking, refuting his arguments. So the first argument which he's going to refute, as we had studied last time, what was his first argument?
Compassion.
Compassion. So he's refuting his first argument. I will just open that. 2.11 to 30, which is refuting his first argument of compassion, giving him the jnana, the Atma Jnana. So I'll share my screen with you. The different sections of chapter 2. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So verses 11 to 30, it's Jnana, fight. And this is basically nothing but Sankhya. He's giving him analysis. You able to hear me? Yeah?
Yep. Yep.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Have we lost someone?
No, actually, I have put everyone on because there was some disturbance there.
Okay. We have lost Randhir.
Randhir, yeah. We'll be back.
Okay. All right. So, Jnana. So these all verses which we are reading is Krishna counters Arjun's compassion argument. The first argument is being refuted by Krishna in 11 to 30. So this is where we are at the moment. Okay, so 2.11, what was the gist of the verse? 2.11, quickly. So we don't have to recap everything again.
So
What was the
there
gist
is
of
Surrender,
2.11?
no need to lament.
surrender, and do not fear.
2.11,
Yeah,
2.11 is no need to lament either for living or
yeah,
dead.
no need to limit. Surrender.
does it say surrender or does it say do not lament?
Okay. Do not
Eh,
lament.
Do not lament. Every verse, every word of Krishna is different. It has a different message. Every verse has a different message. So we may talk some, what do you call those words? Which are pseudo words, which do not have any meaning. Sometimes we do that to add some suffixes, prefixes here and there, all those things. When we talk, we may repeat things, but Krishna does not repeat. Each and every verse is unique. That's why they're different verses. And he gives the message in a different, every aspect is different. So every verse is different and every verse is important in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so 2.11, do not lament. Do not lament neither for the living, neither for the dead. That's what he says, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, 2.12, what was the message?
I mean, we always existed, you know, and there was no time that none of us existed.
So what was the message? Eternity in individuality.
Hmm.
We discussed that. Eternality in individuality. And it also refutes impersonalism, that everyone is individual. There is no one who is not having a form. Everyone is person. Even Krishna has an individual personality. So people who say that the God is impersonal, that verse refutes that. 2.12.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Eternality in individuality. That's the key word of that verse. The difference between 2.11 and 2.12, they're not same. 2.13, what does it say? It speaks about the, yes,
We are always changing from a child to old. So we should not be.
can you hear
Uh,
me? Yeah, I got a phone call, that's why you would have lost me. Okay, I'll
okay.
switch off my phone.
So what 2.13 is talking about is that since we taken birth, we have always changed our body, and
So what is the message in that quick one line message?
Just like the we change our body from birth to old age. Similarly, we change from one body. The soul changes body from one body to another.
Yes, so though the body is changing, the owner does not changes. The soul does not change. The
Mhm.
soul remains the same.
Mhm.
So get the knack of what Krishna is saying in your own words. Write one liners for your own self in for the verses so you understand the flow. What
Mhm.
is he trying to talk and why is he saying that?
Mhm.
Okay, what is the context of him saying that? So do not lament for the living or the dead. Everyone is an individual. Do not worry about that. Everyone remains now and he remains, and there is an eternality. Why there is an eternality? Because everyone is a soul. That's how the connection is. Okay, understand it's a dialogue. So he's answering Arjun's questions. We have to understand like Arjun. If we are not understanding like Arjun, we are not getting Bhagavad Gita. We are just reading like a story. Okay, understand what Arjun is understanding. Okay, they have better IQ, unfortunately, than us. Very high IQ. So we're trying to grasp whatever we can. Okay, so first, do not lament for living or dead. Everyone is an individual. Even I'm an individual. That's what Krishna says. Neither me, even me, neither me or you or these kings. Everyone is an individual. And
Mhm.
how they're individuals? They are nothing but their souls. And soul does not die. The body changes. The owner remains the same.
Prabhuji, it's all fair enough what you're saying, right?
Sorry.
Uh, it's all fair enough what you're saying, but
Yeah,
then if your close one passes away, then we feel bad. It's very obvious
we are
because we are
coming
used
to
to.
that. That's why we will have to other verses. Yeah. So it builds gradually. You won't get all the answers in one verse.
Mhm.
The answers will come slowly, but first understand the concept.
Mhm.
Your doubts will be cleared by Krishna. I know you having the doubts, so is Arjun. That's why there are 20 verses from 2.11 till 2.30. So when we read through all these verses, you will understand what Krishna is trying to say. Krishna would say all these verses at once, but for us to understand all these verses, we have to go one by one.
Mhm.
Okay, so first 2.11, do not lament for the living or the dead. 2.12, again, everyone is an individual, is a soul, different. 2.13, as the soul goes from one body to another, yeah,
Mhm.
dhira, keep your dhira. Yeah, a
Mhm.
dhira person is who keeps who's poised. When he sees the soul is the same, it's just the body changing. That's a dhira person. 2.14, what is 2.14? What was the keyword in that?
Titikshaswa.
Tolerate.
Titikshasva Bharata, you tolerate
Bharat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
these changes for the higher purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
correct. So he's thinking what we are thinking. Yes, that yes, even though I understand we are all souls, but I feel hurt when my close one dies. But you tolerate them for the higher purpose.
Mhm.
That's why you should have a purpose. If you do not have a purpose of life, so now we'll go to 2.15. But before that, I'll ask you a question. There are two roads. Okay, one is a bouncy, rough road, and the other one is a very smooth road. Okay, you have to reach a certain destination, and unfortunately, the rough and the bouncy road goes to that destination. Okay, which road will you take, Abhijit?
Of course, the one which reaches the destination. May it be bouncy or whatever, but I'll enjoy the bounces also.
Correct. Anyone else? Rishi?
You said one is rough bouncy, one is smooth.
Yes.
I'll take the smooth one.
Okay. Aditi?
The one that takes you to the destination. The rough
Rough
and
and bouncy.
bouncy.
Okay. Kshitij?
Yeah, the purpose of reaching to the destination is there, so we'll take the bouncy road, of course.
Kalpesh?
Yeah, the purpose is to reach to the destination, right? So whichever road it is, I'll take it.
Randhir? I think you came late, so don't worry about it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So what is the
Yeah.
question?
So question was, there is a destination you have to reach, and there are two roads which reach your destination. Sorry, there are two roads. One reaches your destination, which is the bouncy and the rough road. The other one is very smooth and comfortable road, but does not reach your destination. Which one would you take?
So it depends on the destination, right?
Okay. So now we have different answers. All right. Generally, people go by the face value, by the first look. Generally, they think the first uh, outlook of something gives you the understanding of how good or bad that uh, that goal is, or not the goal, or good or bad that particular task is, or that particular thing or person or whatever is. So Krishna is saying that you do not worry about the roughness or the smoothness of the road. What you have to worry about is the purpose. That's what Krishna is trying to tell you. So you don't take a road which is comfortable, you take a road which reaches your destination, even though it is rough and bouncy. So to understand this very simply, we have to have a purpose, a higher purpose. And for that, whatever it may take, you have to face. Yes, Kalpesh.
Prabhuji, sorry, just showing my hand because I have to keep my phone other way.
Mm, that's
Um,
okay.
I have a question is that, but shouldn't that your road to destination be pleasant and not like, bouncy and with all sorts of.
If it is like that, you are lucky.
I have a question which is very personal, which, I want to
Yeah.
ask.
In the same context,
Yes, yes.
ask me.
Hmm? I do have some friends who are vegetarians and some are like non-vegetarians, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I asked one person that why don't you? I mean, you are eating a non-vegetarian, and you are doing all everything about Hare Krishna consciousness,
Hmm.
but the only thing that you're doing is you're eating meat.
Hmm.
And he says, like, yes, I don't want to push myself to stop doing, let it stop by itself. Because if now I don't eat, you know, what do you call that? I don't drink alcohol or I don't smoke marijuana, you know, I'm not like lustful that I was before. Now the only thing remaining in me is non-vegetarian food, and I did not force myself to stop any of it. So I don't
How
want
is
to.
it related to this purpose and the road
because
and destination?
some higher devotees, that we when we had some discussions before, what they say that these are the four basic things, like no meat, no gambling, no dal fry double tadka, like no extramarital relationship, and the fourth one was no there was something else I
No
forgot.
illicit sex, no
No
meat
illicit
eating,
Yeah.
No illicit sex, no meat eating, no
Gambling.
alcohol, and no gambling.
No
Okay.
gambling. Yeah.
Gambling.
So
Yeah.
he stopped everything except eating meat.
That is not the prerequisites for bhakti or liberation. That is the prerequisite of becoming a human.
But before you become that, you know, so sorry, can you say that again? Maybe I didn't grasp it
Yeah,
properly.
that those prerequisites are not for becoming a devotee of Krishna. Those prerequisites are to become a human.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
But I did not like it's not clear to me, like but like so can you become a so basically you are saying that first we become a human and then we become a devotee.
That's up to you. What can I say?
Mm, mm, bit hazy still, but I don't know what to ask next.
No, I mean there is something which we have to think, right?
Hmm. So what he told me now is that he doesn't want to push himself. Let it happen. And he gave a different analogy altogether, stating
Hmm.
that oh there might be some blood written on my hands. That's why I am still eating some chicken. And once I finish with that, I'll automatically maybe there are some karmas associated. Once that's finished, I'll automatically stop eating non-veg.
So I don't know if he has some kind of beliefs. I don't know. But Shastras say that the four things prerequisites to become a human are no meat eating,
Mm-hmm.
no gambling,
Mm.
no alcohol, and no illicit sex.
Okay.
That is for to become a human.
Okay.
Otherwise, you are called a two-legged animal.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm.
Yeah, and there was one important statement which we discussed as well, Kalpesh. If you eat like a human, you'll get a human life. If you eat like an animal, you'll get animal life or whatever. So
Mm.
I think that is a really good
No, that's
statement
that I
to
agree, Kshitij. That's absolutely right,
understand.
right?
So
But
what is the question? What
the
is the
question
question?
is like the question. My question was a question to your question whether uh, uh, actually someone is maybe I think it's Randir. Let me just put him on a mute for 10 seconds. Yeah, Randir, I'll put you on a mute for 10 seconds. There was some background noise. So your question was like there are two roads, right, to get to the destination. One is bumpy, and the other one does not reach to the destination.
Correct.
So to that, my question was, shouldn't that the road be smooth road? Why it has to be bumpy road,
Mhm.
right? And to that, I remembered that having a discussion with one of my friend,
No,
he
no. At this, my question did not have the smooth road going to your destination.
no, that's what I said. So
Hmm.
because
So
I had
if you
only
have a
two
smooth,
choices.
so you can't choose the road based on what you like to do.
Hmm.
You choose the road based on where you want to reach.
I think that's a very well said. Yeah, I got the answer now.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yes, Abhijit.
Maybe this is the answer for Kalpesh. I remembered the incident in Mahabharat regarding Arjun and Subhadra. When Arjun was exiled because of some reason from Indraprasth, he reached Dwarka and he fell in love with Subhadra. But Balram was in the way. Though Krishna was with Arjun, being a friend or whatever, Balram was in the way because Balram wanted Subhadra to marry Duryodhan, and Arjun had a lot of problems. The road was very bumpy because fighting Balram he could not do it because he was Krishna's brother. Secondly, he had respect towards Balram and all those things. But finally, he chose the road which was leading his destination, which was bumpy, which had a lot of hurdles, and he did marry Subhadra. I think Kalpesh, you're getting my point.
Yeah. So basically, destination is more important than the
Destination
road.
is more important. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Randir, you wanted to say something, and I was saying something. You, you can unmute yourself?
Yeah, it keeps throwing me out, so I'm changing my frequency, I guess. my Wi-Fi frequency.
Okay.
You had some question, Randir?
Yes, sir. I'm just going back to this. Is you said a straight road, right, which is comfortable, as compared to a bumpy road leading to a destination. But sir, if we do an evaluation of what exactly is the destination, if that's not determined, I mean, if we keep running around looking at,
Okay. So what Randir is saying that we keep running around looking at the roads instead of focusing on the destination. As I understand his question. Correct, Randir?
I'm sorry, I dropped you there. What is the last
So
couple of
what I'm saying
words?
that what you are thinking is that we keep looking at the best road instead of looking at the destination.
That's exactly it, sir.
That's what we do. We take everything on the face value. That's how we work. We look at a person because we have a limited understanding from our senses. That's why we always have a wrong judgment 90% of the times. So when we think that this person, this thing, or this job or this business is very lucrative, very nice, this and that, over a period of time we realize no, it's not that great. So let's try another road.
So, sir, if I may,
Yes,
is that sort of a clash between mind versus intelligence?
correct. So it is not a clash between mind versus intelligence. It is a clash between your sight, which is physical, and the sight, which is spiritual. So Krishna will come to that. You're
Mm-hmm.
sailing in the right boat. Okay. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
answering him. He can read and look at the recording later.
Yeah.
Okay, Randir. So the difference is not mind and intelligence. The difference is the physical nature and the spiritual nature, which is Krishna going to come at in the next verse, right? Answering your question.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, because my father says I have no mind and I have no intelligence.
Hmm. No, nobody can tell you whether you have that. It is you who is the barometer.
No,
You
no, no. I'm
understand.
talking about a father.
That's okay because people will
Right.
judge you. People will judge you, and we
Right.
judge people. That's the nature. That's how we live in this world, and we judge based on the face value of someone and something. We just
Right,
do
sir.
that. We just do that all our lives. And the longer we see that, as we can perceive, we were discussing that in our yesterday's class also, there is a limitation with the perception also. So most of the times we may be right, but at the end, it has a limitation.
So, what does Krishna say about that?
Yeah, so we'll come to that one in 2.15. Now, if we have the purpose and we are able to manage the roadblocks and we are able to control those roadblocks for the higher purpose. So what we said last time, the biggest battle is to keep the biggest battle the biggest battle.
Mm. That's very well said, Prabhuji.
Okay, so that is the meaning of 2.14, to keep the purpose the higher purpose, to keep the higher purpose the higher purpose all
Mm.
the time. That is the biggest difficulty.
Mm.
Okay, so now if you are able to do that, Krishna says to Arjun that if you are able to tolerate tam titikshasva bharata, if you are able to tolerate the roadblocks, what will happen next is 2.15. So we'll read that verse now. I'll share my screen. Please repeat after me the verse. 2.15. Yam hi na vyathayantye
Yam
Yam
hina
hi
Yam
na
hina
vyata
vyatayante te
Yatayante
purusham purusharshava
purusham
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 Purusharshava
purusharshava
Purushashabha
samadukha sukham dhiram
samadukkham
Samadukha
sukham
Sakham
dhiram
Samadukkham
Dhiram
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 so amratvaya kalpate
So Amratva
amritvaya
Amritaya
Kalpate
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 yam hina vyathyantyete purush
Yam hina
Yam
Yam
hina
hina
vyadhyate te.
vyadhyate te.
Purusham Purusharshava
purusham
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 shu
purusharshava
Purusharshava.
Purusharbha.
Samadukha Sukham Dhiram
Samadukha
samadukkham
Samadukkham
sukham
sukham
dhiram.
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 So Amratvaya Kalpate.
So
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 amratattvaya
amratyaya
amrattvaya
kalpate.
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 O best among men, Arjun, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation.
Hmm.
You see, the fruit of this is you will achieve liberation. How's that?
Hmm.
The best result possible if you are able to maintain your purpose. So, what should be the purpose? The purpose is what? What is the purpose according to Krishna?
Liberation.
What do you mean by liberation?
Join him.
Okay,
Be one with him.
simple meaning of the word liberation.
Moksha.
No, no, liberation meaning, simple meaning,
Freedom.
freedom. What freedom from what?
All suffering.
See,
Suffering.
we have this notion that this suffering से free हो जाएगा तो freedom है.
Sorry.
You understand?
Hmm.
ये life suffering है.
Mhm.
ये life से ये suffering से खत्म हो गया तो freedom हो गया. Is that
Mm.
freedom?
No,
You
not
think about it. Think about it. Think a little deeper. What is freedom? Say for example, tomorrow someone tells you, I will give you all the money you need, all the facilities you need, everything. No problem. All the problems are solved. Are
No.
all the problems solved?
No.
What are the
no.
problems still remaining?
Like physical pain, emotional pain,
Okay, so
old
there are
age.
four major problems which we cannot solve if we get all the material wealth and all the material happiness. What is that?
Satisfaction.
Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. You cannot solve these four.
Hmm.
Janma is a pain. We don't remember, that's a different thing. But now, if someone puts you in a coffin for even 10 minutes, you will realize how difficult it is, to be within. Of course, there will be a pipe given to you to breathe, and a pipe given to you, you know, to ex- to for output. Input and output will be given. Stay in a coffin. Very difficult. It's a pain, isn't it? Janma is a pain. Mrityu, of course. Who wants to die? Nobody wants to die. We want to have everything before a certain age, isn't it? 90 साल में $30 million में क्या फायदा? What will you do? तो बोलेगा ना यार बहुत देर से मिला, अब तो मरने का टाइम हो गया. Yes. So mrityu, the second problem. Third, jara, old age. Yes, it's a problem. You start feeling that. Who wants to get old? We are trying our level best not to get old. Yeah. There are there is a billions of dollars of industries running just to keep you young. Skin treatments, hair treatments, whatnot. Just to keep yourself young. I see many movie actors. They look totally funny. They look so different, just trying to keep themselves young. They look ugly, but they say we are young. This is what it is. They're trying to keep themselves young. Jara is a problem. They have all the material wealth, but they cannot be young. Vyadhi, disease. Can you stop it? No. Billions of dollars. If you get coronavirus, you cannot get it out at the moment. You will die if it is at a higher stage. You cannot get it out. You cannot fix these problems. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, true.
Krishna is giving you the solution, the fruit of liberation. So what is liberation? Freedom from these problems. These are the main problems. How do you come out of these four? Janma, Mrityu, Jarava, the cycle of birth and death. That is called liberation.
Hmm.
Once you're out of the cycle of liberation, I mean, cycle of birth and death. Yeah, that is the fruit you will get. You are eligible to receive that if you are able to control your small roadblocks for a higher purpose. That's what Krishna is saying. So he's not disturbed by happiness and distress. Do you get disturbed by happiness? Yes.
Yes. I was talking to
Yes.
my friend about it just recently, just today, in fact.
Yeah. You get disturbed by happiness. Trust me. You get excited.
Excited, yeah.
Too excited by happiness. And most of the mistakes are made while you
Yes.
are happy, not
Yes.
while you are sad.
Yes.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately. Most of the times. Most of the businesses make mistakes when they are too excited, when they're too happy, when they're doing too good. This is unfortunate. So, neither happy, neither sad. That should be the state Krishna is talking about. That person is eligible for liberation. Not too
Prabhu,
happy, not too sad. Yes, Kalpesh.
Prabhuji, if that's the situation of a human, like not happy, not so there are no emotions in that human, or there are still emotions there.
Yeah. So that answer will come in the next verse.
Hmm.
Okay. You're going in the right direction.
Okay.
So you see, slowly we'll build. Krishna is building that. So how do you actually connect, uh, with the natures basically? So what we are talking about here is the nature. Where should your emotions, where should your happiness, how do you determine all these things? Where you should be stated? What should be your position?
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
So we'll go to the next verse, 2.16. I'll share my screen.
Abhijit, there is something coming from your area. Maybe you can. Thanks, thank you so much.
2.16. Please repeat after me. नासत्तो विद्यते भावो
Na sato vidyate bhavo,
नासतो विद्यते भावो
नाभावो विद्यते सतः
na bhavo
नाभावो
vidyate
विद्यते
sata.
सतः
उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तस्
उभयोरपि
Uvayorapi
दृष्टोऽन्तस्
drishtontas
त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः
तव
anayo
अनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः
tattvadarshibhi
नासतो विद्यते भावो
na sato
नाशतो
vidyate
विद्यते
bhavo
भावो
नाभावो विद्यते सतः
na bhavo
नाभावो
vidyate
विद्यते
sata.
सतः
उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तस्
उभयोरपि
Uvayorapi
दृष्टोऽन्तस्
drishtontas
त्वन्योस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः
tva anyos tattvadarshibhi
तवन्योस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः
Darshasi.
ना असतो विद्यते भावो ना भावो विद्यते सतः. Asato means not permanent. That is called asat. Sat means eternal, which is permanent. Asat, sat. These are the two words. Na asato vidyate bhavo. Na bhavo vidyate satah. So these are two lines which are contradicting and also um, comforting each other. Okay, contradictory and comforting. So when we speak in English, you see there are sentences like ask not what the nation has done for you, ask what you have done for the nation. Then you have like in the devotees, you say you can take out a devotee from Vrindavan, but you cannot take out Vrindavan from a devotee. So the first and the second, they contradict, but they complement each other as well. So Krishna is doing the same. Na asato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. So what have we understood so far with the control or with the tolerance? The tolerance is not your weakness or it is not your impotence. It is your vigilance. Tolerating, toleration does not mean that someone comes and hits you and you don't respond. Someone treats you like a doormat and you don't respond. No, that doesn't mean tolerance. Tolerance means that you ignore smaller roadblocks for a higher purpose, for a purpose which you have defined. Now, what is the purpose Krishna has defined? That you come out of the cycle of birth and death and connect with the Supreme, which is yoga. So, our purpose should be in yoga. Now, that is defined here, that this body, this material world is asat. Asat means it is temporary. Sat means permanent, eternal. So here in the translation, if you see, it says that Prabhupada actually translates as non-existent, which is temporary. It says that those who are seers of the truth have concluded those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. So when we write, in English, when we write, so if you see any text in English, when they say, that he had, gone into some place and he uh, achieved this destination. So when it is written in some, um, in a whole storyline, then he is understood as some character which has been defined in the story already. But when that is not defined, and when we say he, then we write something in the brackets to make it understand whom is this referring to. That's what is done in the translation. So if you say, that's why, so this whole sentence, na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. When we say satah means eternal. So I say non-existent or this material body, there is no endurance. That means there is no continuity. What is the meaning of endurance? Anyone? Randhir?
Not giving up, sir. Continuing along a path when everyone else has given up.
There is no endurance. So that means there is no continuity. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. So Krishna says that there are basically two natures. Bhava. Bhava means nature. Asat bhav, sat bhav. So we have two natures. One is the physical nature, and the other one is physical and gross nature, as I would say. Physical and subtle, they both come in that. The gross nature, which consists of the five senses and the mind and the body and the intelligence and the ego. And there is a second nature, which is spiritual. And that is called Sat. So when we talk about Maya, Maya is something which is material, non-permanent or temporary, Asat. So when we say non-permanent, temporary, Asat, doesn't mean that they do not exist. They do, but it is compared to a dream. When you dream, you feel that it is reality. But when you wake up, you realize that that was an illusion. That is how it is compared to. So anything that is related to this body is non-permanent. It is asat. So all the relatives, all the relationships, all the people, the accounts, the things, the events related to this body are non-permanent. They will go away with time. They will go away. They will not exist because they are asat.
Prabhuji, this can, some people might understand this, that if that's the case, then, why do you want to look after your old parents?
We'll come to that.
Sir, if I
And
may.
there is, no, 1 minute. I'll finish the other part also. It is only
Yes,
half.
sir.
The next one is, there is no endurance of the material body, and the eternal, there is no change. So how is the second nature? It doesn't change. But the purpose should be related to your second nature. That is the spiritual nature. So this they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So if your purpose is related to, so if you are attached to the purpose of the non-existent or non-permanent, then there will be distress. Then there will be suffering. But if your purpose is attached to the permanent, then you're eligible for the higher purpose, which is the liberation. So anything that we see or perceive in this world, if we can perceive in relation to the spirit and the higher purpose, which is the yoga, connection to Krishna. So even if we see our relatives, how they can be connected to Krishna, how can I see everything that is in the material world which can be connected to Krishna? My purpose becomes higher. And I go into the second nature. Then I'm not attached to the non-existent. And that takes me out of the suffering. Okay, questions.
ये सारा बाउंसर गया मुझे एक्चुअली, सॉरी.
Yes, Randir.
Sorry, when we were discussing perceptions, right?
Yes, yes,
That that is the way the Lord is explaining that, right? I mean, those are his.
correct, correct.
But sir, if you look at today's world, especially there is a statement by Ivanka Trump where she says perception is more important than reality.
Yeah, correct. That's
So
true. That's true.
so how do we actually reconcile ourselves to the definition of Maya and what's happening in today's world? I mean, is everything that's happening now, is that all connected with? Are we all living in a world driven by Maya?
Okay, so there are three layers. I'll come back to that again. So there is physical, mental, and there is spiritual. Physical is your external eyes, where you see. Mental layer is where you perceive. Spiritual is where you desire, which is the nature Krishna is talking about, Sat, the soul. Soul, mind, and intelligence together at the same layer. And the third is physical, matter. Now, mind is something which can be attached either to the physical or it can be attached to the spiritual layer. That is where your free will is. That's how you can perceive. If you are attached to the material layer, your perception will be non-permanent. That's what Krishna is saying. So when you perceive not on the non-permanent side, you perceive on the spiritual side. Of course, he'll explain that later, but
Right.
the idea is to attach to the permanent, not to the non-permanent. Now, perception, when we see
Mhm.
someone, when we see a human being, what do we see? We see the outlook, the way he speaks, everything external, and we perceive something about that person, correct?
Mhm.
Now, if we are connected, attached to our spiritual side, yeah, in this life, if we can do that, then we will be able to perceive that person in that mode, in that
Okay.
layer, which we are unable to at the moment because our connection is totally with the material layer. Imagine a person sitting down and watching TV. This is how the mind is attached. Okay. So I'll give you an example. So you are watching TV. Okay. And there are some thieves who come into your house. So mind cannot be by itself. Mind sticks to something. It's like a sticky thing. Okay. It actually connects the soul and the physical body. The sticky tape or the glue is mind, which connects you with the external world. That's why the perception comes in. You getting this? Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
So when you are attached to some, for example, now you're watching TV, it's attached in such a way. I'm just giving an example how it is attached. So the mind is attached in such a way, and the like soul and the body is attached to the mind in such a way, connected in such a way that if someone is watching TV and the thieves come and they take the TV, you also go along with the TV. That is how it is stuck.
Right.
That is how it's glued. So when the soul leaves this body, mind goes along with it. And because our karmas are attached to the subtle body and the physical body is gone. So they still karmas attached because of that sticky nature of the mind. So it's up to you, where do you want to put the glue of attachment from your perception? Whether you want to attach it to your soul or you want to attach it to your body. And so will you attach with other people. So will you attach with the things of the material world. I'll give you a very simple example. This is a test case. So one of the professor, he called all his old students, you know, from a very 15, 20 years old batch, and currently they were all doing very well. So he called them and for a coffee, and he kept different types of cups for the coffee. Coffee was the same. He kept some plastic cups, he kept some, those, what do you call them? Kullad, those mittiga cups. He kept those. He kept some old ones. He kept some fine porcelain cups from the best, China porcelain, very expensive ones. He kept all those cups. Coffee was the same. Imagine every one of his students, because they were doing very well, they picked up the most expensive cups and they picked up coffee and had that. Is there a difference in the coffee? The same coffee, but we want the most expensive cup to drink. You can try it on yourself. Go buy a shoe. There will be Bata, there will be Nike. You will try your level best to get the Nike, the top brand. Even though the Bata may be more comfortable and cheaper, but no, it's the mind attached to the external. You cannot see the internal because it's attached. Same problem with Dhritarashtra, attached to the sun, cannot see the reality, cannot make decisions. So Krishna says in 2.16, very important verse, that there are two natures. The ones who are the seers of the truth. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. So there are two natures. Then who is ubhayor api drishton? Tattva darshibihi. Who's darshibihi? Darshibihi who can see. The one who can perceive is called darshibihi. Darshan is to see. Darshibhi is to see far. You can see tattva, who can see the truth. You can see that far, and that truth, they see the second. So he will talk about that in the next verse, but at the moment he's talking about that nature. They have identified their two natures.
So
Yes.
one follow-up question. I'm sorry, um, now we've broken it down into the two natures.
Yes.
The material and the subtle.
Yes. Spiritual nature.
The spiritual nature.
Yeah.
Now we've
Gross body
determined that.
has physical and subtle.
Right.
But gross nature or material nature and spiritual nature, they are two major natures. Bhava.
Right. So the material aspect, okay, we have dealt with it. But so doesn't even the spiritual aspect have not only needs, but also has wants? Because when you're trying to say that you're trying to break yourself out of this whole circle, right, through your karma, you're trying to break out of it. Isn't it the fact that it has a destination that it's trying to do? It's trying to get to a certain point. So doesn't it mean that it's working through the same through the same cycle?
Can you phrase your question?
Okay, the spiritual side, because it is trying to get to a certain destination,
Hmm.
doesn't that mean that it is working in a similar uh, way as compared to the material one? Because they both are trying to achieve something.
No, the problem with the soul is that the mind is attached to it, just like how you are attached to the TV. The example I gave, we are attached to the TV. So what happens is
Right.
that even though you don't want to go, but because you're so hooked up, that the soul travels along with the mind, and that's why mind becomes very important. So soul cannot travel by itself. It is carried by the mind, and the mind perceives. And that is where you have the perception. And that is, if the mind perceives correctly, then you are a tattvadarshi. If the mind can perceive the truth, then you become tattvadarshi.
Okay. Sir, I understand that. But
Yeah,
it's, as it was taught, I mean, as what's been explained is the soul is individual and eternal. Okay, we're dealing with that. Now we're
correct.
only talking about the soul. The
Yes,
mind, the mind and the body is basically, it destroys. I mean, it's gone. It's temporary.
yes,
The
but
soul comes back.
but
Go back.
this is just an extra understanding that soul, although it is being individual, it is stuck with the mind. So wherever the mind goes, the soul travels. I'll give you an example.
Right, right.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Everybody of us have had a dream somewhere or the another. Do you experience the same effect as you will feel in reality in the dream?
Not necessary.
Say, for example, in your dream, a tiger is chasing you.
Uh-huh.
Don't we feel in reality, yes, the tiger is chasing me? Someone is killing you. Don't we feel? I've seen people shouting in the dream, I'm
Yeah.
being, I'm being killed.
S-
Someone trying, you're eating something in the dream. You feel that. You're in a cold place in your dream. You feel cool here. That's how the soul is attached to the mind. The mind is dreaming, but the soul is feeling. And that's how you feel in your body.
That makes sense. Right.
Prabhuji, can I ask a very basic question?
Yes, yes.
What is mind?
Mind. Mind in Hindi or Sanskrit is called man. Okay. To identify the mind, it's very simple. It's very simple to identify the mind. To identify intelligence and ego, it takes some time because they are more subtler, you know, yeah, more subtler. But the mind is easy to identify. Okay, mind always takes you in the lower destinations, lower because like it's compared to the water. So if you see water, it will never be on the top of a hill. It will always be in the lowest level. It will always take you down, always pulls you down. Okay, very simple to identify. When you are under tremendous stress, okay, tremendous stress, your personal life, your work life, everything hammering you, the mind takes you to the lower destination straight away. It will tell you to do all sorts of nasty things: drink, smoke, have sex, gamble, watch porn. I'm giving you all the real real examples. This is what the mind does. You find out your substitute or the satisfying object. And if that satisfying object is something which is, illicit, I would use this term, illicit, that is mind.
Okay. So mind,
Identify. Identify your mind.
so mind basically tries to deviate you away from.
And when you are happy and excited, you know, the mind again will take you to the lower destination. Now, you can basically, what you are watching, you can materialize now.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because you got the money. You got money. You got all the resources. Now, what you are watching, you can do it.
Hmm.
So, mind will tell you, okay, let's do it. I'll give you a very good story before we end today. Not a story, I'll give you what you call a case study to understand. Okay. Now, for example, you had a very good friend of yours, a very close friend of yours, someone who always you rely upon, you always share your things. Now, that friend comes to you and tells you that I want to kill someone. Okay. I want to murder someone. And you have to help me in that. Okay. I want to kill someone. Would you accept at the first point? You say, no, I can't. And he gives you all sorts of reason. He say, I will do the job. You just have to help me. That person is a nuisance in my life. I have to kill him. Otherwise, my life will be distorted. He convinces you. Over a period of time, you are convinced. Okay. You say, okay, I will do it. For you, I will do it. There are some people in this world whom we are so attached to that, even though the things are wrong, say, okay, I will do it for you. And you accept. Okay. Now, the activity has to begin. Okay. Or everything is sorted. You go with him and he has to kill a person and you are with him. Now, he kills the person successfully. The task is completed. The person is dead. Okay. And he does all sorts of things to him and tries to cover up and this that. He cleans up all his hands and this that, clears all the marks, and he tells you, okay, let's escape. He escapes very quickly, but for some reason you are still there. Yeah, you're not unable to escape. You're stuck in some way there, and unfortunately the police comes and they see you at the location and they catch you, and you are being charged for the murder because all the you know what do you call what do you call them, all the aspects are pointing towards you as you are the murderer. All right, now you are taken to the court. Yeah, you're taken to the court and you're standing in the court with all these things and whatnot. You're being charged with a murder, and now the judge comes. Okay, the magistrate who comes in there. Now you are shocked to see something, that magistrate is none other than the same friend of yours. Okay, and all the evidences are against you, and he accuses you of the murder. He said, yes, right, you have committed the crime, and we give you the sentence. How would you feel? Devastated, right? You didn't want it to do it, but you did it. But now the same friend of yours is accusing you. Why did you do that? Such wrongdoing. That friend is your mind. They tell you to do something wrong. But once you do something wrong, they come back as a judge and they will tell you, why did you do that? That is your mind. Identify your mind.
Hmm.
Okay?
So how do we control our mind?
That is the next thing. Okay, so you can't finish everything, you know, in one day. It has to go gradually. It has to go gradually. First, identify. I've been paid a hefty amount of money just to identify the problem. Forget about the solution. Isn't that how we are paid in technical situations? Find out the root cause. If you can get the root cause, you're a champ. Yes? So identify your mind. Unless you're able to identify your mind, you cannot control it, can you? You don't know what you're controlling, right? That's the biggest task, to identify your mind. It's the first step of self-realization. It will take a long time. Yes, Rishi.
So question is like these example that you gave of how to identify mind, like where we are in a stressful situation, say, oh, go to sleep, we'll do it tomorrow. So there is mind.
Yes.
So mind is also desiring, or he's pushing you. So we say the soul desires.
My soul desires. Absolutely. The soul desires. No doubt the soul desire. The job of the soul is to desire only. The mind tells you what you
What to
like or
desire?
what you don't like. No, no, no,
Okay.
no, no. He tells you, you like that, do that. You don't like this, don't do that. I'll give you another example. Say, for example, if someone serves you rasgulla, okay, how do you know the taste of that is good? Just by looking at it. Your mind tells you,
Yep.
yeah, because you have tasted it before. It was amazing, matke wala. It is very tasty. Try that. It has all the kinds of images and experiences. It tells you this is good. You like it. Take it. And imagine if you eat that and someone forgot to put sugar in it.
Mm.
You don't like it, right?
Yes.
So, not always what you like would be good, but the mind tells you that it is good. Does it make sense?
Yep. Okay.
So, mind tells you what you like, what you don't like. That's the job of the mind. It tells you do that. You like that. Do that.
Mm. Okay.
We'll talk about intelligence later. First, you understand the mind.
The trick is to get
But
the mind to like
Prabhuji, it all
the right thing.
Identify the mind. Yeah. Yes, Kshitij.
yeah, we get that totally convinced with this point which you mentioned. But mind also tells to do good things. Like for example, now since we started since January, we are chanting at least 3 to 4
Mind
hours
only
daily. We
tells
are
you what you
forcing our
like, what
mind.
you don't like. Mind only tells you what you like, what you
Okay.
don't like.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the job of the mind. It only tells you what you like and what you don't like. And it tells you to do that,
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
because you would do what you like, isn't it? As simple as that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
When you say that I like doing this, that's your mind. Generally, generally we like doing things, but when do we fear? When we get something which we don't like to do.
Yeah. That's right. Yep.
That's when we fear uncertain things. Yeah, uncertainties. We don't like these, do we?
Yeah.
And then when we have to do that, we are not able to accept it. That's called fear. And that also is
Mm.
generated in the mind. You don't like it, man. Don't do it. You know?
Mm.
We'll come to different aspects later. Who gets angry is a different
Mm.
component. But first, identify the mind.
Prabhuji,
Mhm.
sometime back you had given a good example about five horses,
They are
reins.
senses, yes,
So five horses are your senses, right?
correct. And the way the reins which control the horses, the
Mm-hmm.
strings, that is the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the mind says you like to do this, do that, who does it? Your senses do it.
Hmm. So mind controls senses.
Yes,
So the mind controls senses,
yes.
and the mind comes, and the things comes to your mind through sarthi, which is intelligence.
No, they don't come through to you from the buddhi or the intelligence.
Hmm.
You perceive with the mind. You perceive with the mind by your previous experiences. Sorry, images. Think of it as a repository. So whatever you see, so for example, I'll give a practical example. Okay, you watch porn for a week, day in and day out. What will happen on the seventh day after 6 days? Your senses will demand, right?
Hmm.
Yes or no?
Hmm.
The repository is pushing the senses to do it. But who chose to watch that?
Mind.
No, your soul desired. You desired to watch it. It's your free will.
So where does intelligence come here? Because in that,
Intelligence will tell you whether it is yes, right, or wrong. But if
After
you
some time,
listen
they
to it,
stop telling you.
if you listen to it, it will continue. If you stop, if you don't listen to it over a period of time, it will stop.
hmm, 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 hmm.
It's like a good father,
Mhm.
a good father, a really good father, because it is Krishna himself. That is intelligence. Anyway, the thing is, if you take too many concepts, it will be very hard for you to analyze them and manan on them. So go as per Bhagavad Gita.
Hmm.
Yeah, at this point where Krishna explained 2.16, the two natures. One is physical, which is non-permanent, and one is eternal, which is
Spiritual.
permanent, which is
Yeah.
spiritual, yeah, eternal, or the soul. That is the truth. The mind to understand is the between them.
Mhm.
Okay, think of it as a glue, stuck with glue. Now, whom do you want to fix it with? It's up to you.
Mhm.
That's the understanding apart from this verse, but the verse only speaks about this. So far, 11 till 15 was understanding through all the different aspects, but we have already covered that. 2.15 was the fruit which you get when you keep yourself poised, keep yourself dhira in happiness as well as in distress, and you are able to tolerate the non-permanent existence of the sensory perceptions, just like summer and winter. Matra Sprashast, the previous verse. Okay. So from 2.11 to 2.16, read them carefully and understand what Krishna is saying. There are deep topics. These are deep topics. Okay. And it's further going to get deeper. So understand them very carefully. All right. Any other questions?
Mhm. No.
Okay, good. So we'll end our discussion here.
Mhm.
See you next week. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
sir.
Krishna.